Hey everyone, welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a really tough question. How do you sell a complex AI product to one of the most skeptical audiences on the planet, developers? It's a huge challenge. So let's dive right into the playbook for how to actually win them over. So here's how we're going to break it down in 5 key stages. We'll start with the foundation, get into the audience, then build the strategy, nail the execution, and finally talk about the long game. Think of this as your complete roadmap from start to finish. All right, first up, the foundation. Look, before you can even think about marketing an AI product, you absolutely have to understand its core technical trade-offs. This isn't just about a feature list, it's about the deep engineering realities that define what your product can and can't do. Let's kick things off with the word training. This is the heavy lifting that happens way behind the scenes. Think of it like forging the engine of a car from scratch. It's incredibly expensive, it's computationally massive. We're talking millions of dollars sometimes. It's that huge one-time investment to give the model its fundamental intelligence. Now, on the flip side, you have inference, and this is what your users actually see and feel. If training is building the engine, inference is pressing the gas pedal. It's taking a user's request and generating a result, fast. Everything here is optimized for speed, cost, and just getting the job done efficiently. This is where your product proves its worth. And this slide really puts it all into perspective. Training is this massive, high-cost effort to build the core capability. Inference, on the other hand, is the low-cost, high-volume process that actually delivers value to the user. So here's the key takeaway for any product marketer. All of your claims about performance, your pricing model, your SLAs, all of that is based on the economics of inference, not that giant upfront cost of training. That's a crucial distinction. Okay, so we've got the product's technical DNA down. Now, let's totally switch gears and focus on the person we're trying to reach. We've got to crack the code on the developer mindset. This quote just nails it. Developers aren't going to be impressed by your flashy marketing slogans or your vague promises about revolutionizing the industry. They are ruthless, practical evaluators, and they really only have one question. Does this thing work? And is it going to make my job easier? That's it. And what's fascinating is the difference in what they care about versus, say, an executive. Developers are obsessed with API reliability, good documentation, and low error rates. Executives, they're thinking about total cost of ownership, compliance, SLAs. It's like you're speaking two completely different languages. A true developer-first GTM means you have to speak their language first and foremost. So, what signals do they actually trust? Well, it's all about tangible proof. We're talking hard numbers on latency and throughput, high-quality code examples that you can copy, paste, and run right away, a real commitment to open standards, and a buzzing community around the product. These are the things that build trust and drive that bottom-up adoption that you want. All right, now that we've got a handle on our product's reality and our audience's mindset, it's time to actually build the strategy. This is where we turn all those insights into a real, actionable plan to go out and win the market. And it all starts with this one absolutely critical question. In a technical market, every single claim you make is going to be put under a microscope. If you say you're the fastest, or the most accurate, or the most anything, you better have the receipts to back it up. This is where your legal team becomes your best friend. As Mindy Rignell says here, every statement you make in marketing has to be factually true, and you have to be able to prove it the moment you say it. This isn't about spin, it's about rigor. It protects you legally, yeah, but more importantly, it builds that precious trust with an audience that can spot BS from a mile away. Okay, so what do you do when you're in a crowded market with dozens, maybe even hundreds of competitors? You are not going to make 50 different battle cards. It's just not scalable. Instead, you can use a clever framework called a long-tail battle card. You basically group your competitors into a few strategic buckets, and it gives your sales team a super efficient way to talk about them. Let's walk through how this works. You create a bucket, like, say, open source alternatives. You identify their core characteristics. You get honest about why a developer might choose them. And then you arm your team with your single, powerful key message to use against that entire category. It's so much smarter because you're winning the argument, not just a feature-by-feature battle. Strategy is locked. It's go time. This is execution. And a developer-first launch, well, it looks totally different from your typical corporate launch. It's less about the big press release and more about enabling developers to build something cool right now. And if you remember one thing from this section, let it be this. For developers, your documentation is your marketing. It is not an afterthought. It's not a checkbox. In fact, poor docs are cited as a bigger blocker to adoption than performance or even cost. Great documentation is your #1 sales tool. It builds confidence and removes all that friction to getting started. And your demo? It needs that same obsession with efficiency. Forget the 30-minute slide deck. Your goal is a 2-minute hello world. You introduce a problem, show the raw input, make one simple API call, and bam, you immediately show a structured, valuable output. Speed to that aha moment is everything. This slide just captures that payoff perfectly. The promise you're trying to deliver is something like this: 5 lines of code to instant insights. That message lands so hard with a developer because it's not about what your product has. It's about what it lets them do immediately. But look, a successful launch isn't the finish line. In a developer-first world, it's really just the starting gun. The real work, the real winning, happens when you play the long game and build a system for continuous learning. This quote really captures that mindset. A launch isn't the moment you pop the champagne and move on to the next thing. It's the moment your go-to-market strategy starts getting hit with real-world data. It's the beginning of a conversation with your market, not the end of a monologue. To do this right, you have to track the right things. Revenue and churn, those are lagging indicators. They're like looking in the rearview mirror. They tell you where you've been. What you need are leading indicators, things like docs engagement or how many people complete your Hello World tutorial. Those are the signals that predict where you're going. And you close the loop by building systems to gather intelligence. You have to systematically talk to your customers, dive deep into product analytics, get constant, raw feedback from your sales team. This isn't random. It's a structured process you build to constantly refine your story based on what's actually happening out in the wild. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. After your product is out there, what happens to your go-to-market plan? Does it become a static PDF, a legacy document of what you used to think was true? Or is it a living, breathing system that's constantly learning, adopting, and getting smarter every single day? That's the choice you have to make.